They are transboundary issues. So it's a problem that belongs to no one country, so the problem has no passport. But there are stories like that going on all the time, and these are kind of the ethical dilemmas. This is what we're trying to do across the disciplines, is to get students involved in problem-based learning. Here's a problem, here's a challenge. What do we need to know to respond to that particular challenge? So it's an exploration, it's inquiry, it's really exploring things, and exploring things in a much more looser fashion than you do in a class.
Okay. Welcome to the White House. Welcome to the West Wing of the White House. The class that I teach in the context of this initiative is called U.S. Defense and Security Policy, Weapons of Mass Destruction and Non-Proliferation. So that's the problem. What do we do about the proliferation of these things around the planet? I take about a dozen students to Washington every summer.
It's a chance to get to the problem. It's a chance to get into the mix of things. When you're studying an issue as big as nuclear security on campus, it's one thing. It can be kept in your textbook, it can be academic. I think where the problems without passports comes in is when you get to where the decisions have to be made. When you get into the city where the problem is right up front, it gives you a better understanding of how you could deal with it, what the problems are that don't appear on paper, that aren't purely academic.
We met this summer with an old friend of mine, a certain person by the name of Condoleezza Rice.
It makes you nervous when you're sitting in the State Department around the table where they held the first G8 summit, and you know that the Secretary of State is coming to talk to you. We met 45 different people or agencies in that month that we had. We filled out a contact list of people that is unfathomable for an undergraduate. It's just an opportunity that I can't stress enough. You don't get chances like that.
We had an opportunity to go to southern Belize and look at factors contributing to the fall of the classic Mayan civilization, which happened around the year 900.
This whole class is a big question, right? Why did this ancient society collapse? You can't answer it by just focusing on one discipline. My expertise is in the paleoclimatology. My part is to reconstruct what the climate was like at the time leading up to the collapse and during the final collapse.
We actually met up with a team of archaeologists, one of them, Dr. Prefer. He's one of the leading experts in the Mayan civilization. And so we stayed with him and his grad students in kind of a field station.
We're actually doing what a researcher would do while working on a project like this. They lived in the same conditions on cots with a foam mattress.
Every morning, waking up at 5 with the sunrise and going out to a Mayan ruin. You're in the field, you're not looking at pictures in a textbook. You're actually the one taking the samples, climbing up the wall to get the instruments that are 30, 40 feet on top of you. So you're the one getting the information. And so to be in there, knowing that they were there so many thousands of years ago is just you just felt a sense of awe.
The take-home lesson from this is the relevance to future societies, right? We went back to the classroom. From there, they picked a topic that they wanted to focus on.
I did mine on the impact that hurricanes and tropical storms might have had on the collapse of the Mayan civilization. You can study all you want in a classroom looking at textbooks, but once you're actually there looking at it firsthand, it's a whole different experience.
The course I taught was on the question of remittances and development, looking at the potential role that the money that foreigners living and working in the United States, the money they send back home, the role it can have in economic development. Given the fact that Mexico is the largest global recipient of remittances, that was the country we chose to look at.
It was a 2-week international relations course at USC, and then we traveled to Mexico for 2 weeks, to Mexico City, the capital, and to cities in Zacatecas, which is in central Mexico.
Which has been sending migrants to the United States for over 100 years, so it has a very long history of dealing with this particular issue. Their task was to design interviews.
We had the opportunity to interview elected officials, heads of microfinance institutions, presidents of municipalities there, and we interviewed them, get the perspective on this issue of remittances, if it's actually helping to develop Mexico, to advance Mexicans. Incredible opportunity as an undergrad doing basically field work, which a lot of grad students don't even sometimes have the opportunity to do. We had funding from a new research grant at the university, the SURF grant. It was very exciting.
Universities, one of the things we're here for is to provide that last refuge for the optimist, that last refuge for the idealist. It's what Kant said, you know, have the courage to know. Have the courage to know, but then have the courage to do something with that knowledge. And that's what Problems About Passport is.